Hello and welcome back, adventurers. Get comfy as we discover the secrets of Elena Faithhold and her domain of Nidala. In a simpler time, the young paladin Elena Faithhold thundered across the world, dealing death and destruction to the enemies of the goodness everywhere. Her mighty sword arm and great beauty won her renown far and wide. She and her companions, who included the Lady Catri Shadowborn, cut a swath through the evil and corruption in the world. Elena's power was increasing vastly, and followers of Belenus flocked to her, knowing her to be the instrument of retribution for which they had searched for so long. Their praise and adulation filled Elena's ears and heart. Although she knew that she was merely the vessel for her god's power, and thus unworthy of worship bestowed upon her, she still basked in the adoration of the masses and took their sacrifices for herself. And soon, at her back rode thousands of fanatics, all of them intent on proving themselves to Elena and her god. The forces of evil rose up to combat this crusade. All forgot their differences to assure their survival. The war of evil lasted many months on the blood-soaked plains, each side sustaining high casualties. In the end, the forces of good emerged victorious, though vastly reduced. All that remained of the evil forces in Elena's lands were tiny strongholds, which proved to be easy huntings for various converts. In the wake of her victory, many of her subjects came to see the light, and they converted to the worship of Belenus. Some, however, resisted this not-so-gentle urgings towards their one true religion. Angry at being repulsed, zealots approached Elena with venomous lies about the stubborn ones. Elena, never to reconsider a course of action once she deemed it correct, leaped into a new holy war against any who were not firmly allied with Belenus, ruthlessly crushing the unbelievers and heathens. During this conflict, Elena's gifts as a paladin deserted her. This did not worry her, for she knew that occasional tests of faith are important for the righteous. She never stopped to think that she might be angering her god. Not satisfied with simply eliminating those who oppressed her religion, she decided to annihilate those who were not firm allies and those who were not human. As she waged her ruthlessly grim war against those who had once fought at her side, a nagging doubt spoke to her. It suggested that perhaps her powers had deserted her because the course she was taking ran directly contrary to the wishes of her god. Anguished, Elena left the strife and went to pray for guidance. Belenus, appalled by her acts of slaughter in his name, refused to answer her supplication. In the void left by his absence, darker powers answered. As she slept the night in the chapel profaned by her very presence, a mist arose from the stones of the church. She woke to find herself lying in a swirling fog with no familiar landmarks in sight. Concluding that this, and the loss of her powers, were tests designed by Belenus, she strode grimly forth from the mists and emerged in Ravenloft. She stumbled upon a village where its people greeted her with stony stares and cold silence. Elena approached them with ill-concealed dislike. It was apparent to both sides that this would not be a pleasant confrontation. This became even more clear when the stones began flying from the hands of the villagers. Elena, pushed far past the bounds of patience, felt a madness come upon her. She slew the entire population of adults and sent the children scampering in the wilderness. Then, stricken by the idea that she failed the tenets of Belenus, prayed to her god for forgiveness. After finishing her prayers, she started out again, only after she had set the village to the torch in order to create a pyre for the dead. Overcome with remorse, she wandered the wilderness of Ravenloft, observing around all manner of evil things. In time, her repentance at the destruction of the village slowly altered its form, until it became a white-hot fury at the evils she witnessed around her. She assumed that all the villages of this strange land contained only evil folk. She was determined to rid the world of them. To further this end, she set out to learn all she could regarding the nature of the place in which she arrived. Quite for accident, she discovered the transporting powers of the mists of Ravenloft, and she never asked why they only took her to the places where evil flourished. Many times she would come to the village and choose a place of ill repute to watch as evil townsfolk did horrible things. In her small-minded pettiness, Elena never stopped to consider that a sampling of people is not always representative of the whole. Elena's potential for evil and her actualization of it attracted the notice of dark powers of Ravenloft. After much time, the mist transported her before a huge castle, as the doors opened and a wizened old servant welcomed her back to her keep. Thus came Elena Faithhold to be the lord of the domain called Nidala. Nidala is a part of the Shadowlands, an island of terror floating in the mists. On the edge of Nidala's hills lies the walled capital city of Terrain, a jewel of civilization in a land mostly without culture. The vitality of Terrain is somewhat subdued by the looming presence of Mount Malcredo on its western wall. Elena's glowering castle overlooks the city. Its forbidding walls present a cold face to the land. Frenzied storms feed a continuous stream of lightning into the uppermost tower of the citadel, powering the various engines Elena has built in her hold. A few miles to the southwest of Terrain, a large, deep lake dominates the scenery. Its glacial waters are home to numerous aquatic creatures, some of which are dangerous. Lake Amenta is a natural focal point for the beasts of Nidala, as it is one of the largest sources of fresh water in the land. Rumors of a portal leading to and from a magical golden realm hidden deep beneath the waters have enticed many seekers here since the creation of Nidala. These rumors have also led to the assumed deaths of many of the seekers, for no one who has ventured into the depths of the icy lake has ever returned. To the east of Terrain and Lake Amenta, the terrain becomes a rolling grassland, covered with the farms and villages of the common peasants. This is the heartland of Nidala, for the peasants here ensure the survival of the other inhabitants of the land. Finally, to the east of the farms, the travelers reach a forest on the border. Lumberjacks constantly travel in and out of these forests, carrying their loads of wood to safeguard other citizens against the winter's cold fury. Nidala is a beautiful and almost completely peaceful domain. The forests are rife with animal life, but the natural predators are almost never dangerous to those in the eastern forest. If any creature becomes hostile to humans, Elena knows about it shortly thereafter and goes forth to crush the creature and its ilk entirely. West of the mountains, where Elena does not often venture, the story is entirely different. The western forest contains a surprising variety of creatures, not all of which are part of the natural order. Nidalans consider travel in these parts dangerous to the extreme and will not hazard their life willingly. The citizens of Nidala acknowledge Elena Favehold as their ruler and accept the harsh treatment she subjects them to. She has created the myth of an evil dragon that destroys the land and justified her edicts as protecting their best interests and keeping them free from evil. Although the people are sure that Elena is powerful enough to protect them, they are also sure that she is powerful enough to continue oppressing them if it suits her purpose. Those who she deems harboring evil intent find themselves in her torture chambers, and they do not usually live to tell of them. Those who survive are often in a receptive state of mind and eagerly accept the conversion offered by Elena. They become her most rabid enforcers. Most of the citizens live in the city of Terrain in relative harmony. The lack of crime is largely because Elena has instituted laws that, upon pain of torture, require the citizens to report witnessed crimes immediately. The Nidalans are grim folk, exhausted and frustrated by the Night Protector's endless moralistic decrees. Although they once enjoyed the song, dance, and tragic plays, all such activities have been outlawed, leaving the Nidalans to pursue their livelihoods with a perceptible air of gloom. This is not to say that all Nidalans are utterly despondent at all times, rather a vague, unshakable sense of loss clings to them, as they feel profound regret. Those who violate Elena's decrees are punished savagely. Public floggings and maimings are standard sentences, but those with the gall to speak against Elena or Belenus' church are dragged in chains to the infamous torture chambers of Favehold. Given this cruelty, Nidala would probably be on the edge of revolt if it were not for the legendary dragon named Banemaw. People believe that it is Elena's presence alone that keeps the eldritch worm at bay, though he has been known to slaughter rural villages beyond the Night Protector's reach. Elena makes sure that the populace continues to believe in her dragon, and in order to carry out this pretense, she employs foul methods that ensure Ravenloft will never release her. When she finds a given village has grown more evil in its ways, usually after she has seized a number of its citizens for her torture chambers, she and her enforcers surround the village. They swoop down on the village as a nightmarish horde. Swords gleaming in the light of the torches they carry, they slaughter all within the village, giving no quarter. The next day, Elena issues an apology for not arriving in time to prevent the dragon from destroying yet another village. Thank you so much for your time, patient listeners. Heed my warning, there is nothing waiting for you in Nidala. You may believe you can save its people, but the mists made Elena stronger, no weaker, for separating her from her faith. But if you still wish to help, be careful while crossing the mists.